Start up this show. We are live. Welcome to the show, the one and only, the Memequel Jackson Show. We're live on Track Talk Radio, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, from 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, man. I'm on the phone currently trying to work out a deal to get some lumpia. And that right now has taken priority in my life because I need my lumpia fix. Usually around this time of year, I have family visiting. But due to coronavirus, my family has not really come to the area, so I've missed out on the lumpia. But I got to connect out here. At least I think, but my connect is playing games. Let me stop. I think I was the one playing games, which is why I'm in the situation that I'm in. But I need the connect to come through with the lumpia. That'd be much appreciated. Angel, hook me up. Anyway, welcome to the show. We have a live show. It's always live. It's Thursday, man. You know what? Oh my God, Jared. Why do I never think about that? My nigga Jared literally lives down the street from me. Jared, hook me up, bro. Listen. Does your mom need me to come do chores or something, bro? What do I gotta do, bro, to get the lumpia? You live 5 minutes away from me, bro. You know I need it. Shout out to my man Jared, aka Mr. J Cabs up in this biatch. But anyway, all right, bet. My man's gonna hook it up. Next time mom makes something, he's gonna drop some off. Shout out to my man Jared. Shout out to moms. Always looking out. Good people. I love it. But Angel, I still need you to come through. Because I need the lumpia now. And I need it always and forever. One of my favorite foods. So, you know, and it brings me to the point, like I'm always on this show, always wondering, why do racist people understand like what they ultimately miss out on due to the fact that they deny other people based on their race and their culture? You miss out on good food, you miss out on good people, great relationships. Like you just miss out on a lot by being under the assumption that you and your people are all that you need. You're missing out, bro. I'm telling you. Maybe that's how we get them to chill. Just have them come to like a banquet or something. Lumpia. All types of fried foods and shit. Freaking have sushi on deck. I mean, what do white people not really know about? I feel like they know about sushi. But there's all kinds of foods and all type of culture that they're missing out on. Well, the bad ones are missing out on. And even the good white folks. Y'all should be telling these people, look what y'all are missing out on. Good people, amazing culture, and even better food. How can you be upset when you're breaking bread and sharing a meal with people? Shit, man. Now I'm hungry. Jared, shout out to you, bro, and thanks for tuning into the show. Let's see, man, what we got today. Like I said, the Lumpia Connect is, I need that. That is a food I could eat all day, every day. So if you're listening out there, I'm willing to try all different kinds. But I want to start with the fact that I heard today, and hold on, let me check the time on the radio because I always be forgetting we got to intro the show. Okay, we got about 35 seconds. So let me, before we get into this, I'm very confused how there is a person on this planet who potentially is going to go to another stratosphere in terms of income, but yet we're struggling to ensure that other people have jobs. I don't understand this. So we're going to get into this bald-headed short man who along with the help of his people, let me intro the show, man. Hey, cut the music off, man. Thank you for tuning in on Track Talk Radio. This is the Meaningful Jackson Show, and we are live, man. We have a live show for you. We're going to get right into it. I'm talking about this bald-headed person, Jeff Bezos. I'm very confused as to how there's a report that says he's about to become the world's first trillionaire. How is he still making tons of money, and we have people who are transitioning from being broke to being 100% homeless? I feel like a lot of mouths can get fed and a lot of bills can get paid with $1 trillion. Now, I'm not trying to tell Baldy what to do with his money, because I would never want that, because I don't want someone telling me what to do with my money. But I get it. If you're publicly known to have a significantly higher amount of money than a large, and I mean large, like when we say large portion of the world, we're talking 85 to 90%. Like, it's everybody. Let's just say it's everybody. At this point, it's fucking everybody. He has like 5 or 6 people that he knows who may be his friends, who have like somewhat close to the type of bread he has, but probably not nearly as much. So if he gets to that level where he's a trillionaire, that's stupid, crazy money. It does not make sense that he would have $1 trillion and people would be out here, like literally, my nigga, like probably in the next like month or two, you're gonna see people who are gonna be being evicted from their homes and being put on the street because they lost their jobs and were not able to pay their bills. Yet Baldy has enough money to, buy the earth, I guess. I don't know. $1 trillion is a lot of money. A lot of money. God, think about what you can do with $1 trillion. How much toilet paper can you buy with $1 trillion? I mean, all of it, obviously. I think you can buy all of everything that we've created if you have $1 trillion. Maybe. I don't know. But maybe $1 trillion is not a lot, depending on what your bills are like. But even still, half of $1 trillion, I mean, half of $1 trillion is a lot of money. So you're like, that's still enough to buy just about everything that has been created by man or was provided here before that. Like, you can purchase just about everything. But he can't buy dinosaurs, I suppose. So he can't buy everything, but still, $1 trillion fucking dollars, man. And we really have people out here, like even some of my own friends, they text me and they say that they're concerned about what life is going to be like in a month from now, 2 months from now. Some of these people, it's less than that. They're hurting now. They've been hurting since all this shit started. But since all this has started, I feel like I've done multiple stories on the fact that he's continuing to make money and get increasingly rich, which is so crazy. Because people, like I said, people are freaking losing. We're all like taking some of the hardest L's of all time. But yeah, Baldy's living it up, man. This is crazy. Trillionaire. That's one of those things that, like, you know how when people tell you, like, yo, you gotta have dreams, like dream big. That was the one that people always probably had, but like it was never, ever, 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 ever possible. And this fucking guy, jeez. I wonder if we can get Jeff to sponsor the show. I mean, even if it don't work out, Jeff, it ain't gonna be nothing to you, bro. You got $35, $45 million to throw at this, and we can improve production. Maybe get a nice little studio. I can get the freaking pads on the walls and shit. We'll soundproof this motherfucker. Get a bigger couch and shit. 35, 45 million should be able to cover that. And that's like $10 to you. You're about to be a trillionaire, bro. You're good for it. Send it in cash. Have one of your Amazon delivery people just put it in a box, put some of that black tape on it, leave it at the door. I don't want them coming into the house or nothing like that. But yeah, $1 trillion. That shit is crazy. You know how much lumpia I'll be able to buy with $1 trillion? Oh my God. Dang, I probably, if I had $1 trillion, what I might do, if it would be okay, I might just see if Jared's mom is just looking for like an employment opportunity, 10,000 a week, just to provide me like Lupia 1 or 2 days. Jay, you think your mom would be cool with that? If I was a trillionaire, I mean, 10,000 a week, I feel like that's good. I'll even purchase all the stuff you need to make it. It'll be lit. But I would just need the lumpia on deck. $1 trillion worth of lumpia. I feel like that's money well spent. All right, my connect is hitting me right now. Let's see. And then we got other people text me saying they got some in the freezer. How you got the lumpia in the freezer? Why is it in your freezer and not at my house? Come on. I know I'm pausing the whole show for this. This shit is important. Like very important. You don't understand. All right. I want to get into the most important story, the second most important story of our night. And I still don't know how to feel about this situation. And it's a roller coaster of emotions. You don't know whether to feel happy, sad, upset, angry, But it was crazy to see somebody sent me a video of the Kardashians throwing toilet paper on one of their, like, I think it was one of the sisters' houses. I thought that shit was funny as hell. And people were not happy with me when I was saying that it was funny. But some people were bringing up some valid points. I do understand that, like, it probably is a little bit foul that they will be out there wasting all that toilet paper. I get it. We're in a crisis, but also y'all didn't really need all the toilet paper to survive the crisis per se. So being upset that they're out there using the toilet paper that they paid for to roll a house to like keep themselves in good spirits, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I do see how maybe if you were looking at them as like, hey, you guys are famous and you maybe should set an example. Maybe it's horribly irresponsible to kind of like laugh in the faces of people who are struggling to pay for toilet paper. I get it. But it's funny, man. I don't know. Like, I seen people like commenting on the videos where they're saying how garbage they are for doing that. And I'm like, you really out here calling people garbage for the choices that they're making over some shit that they paid for? And even if you want to bring up the fact that maybe it's wrong because some people can't pay for it, are you some people in the scenario that you're bringing up? Or are you just somebody that likes to complain? Because if you have plenty of toilet paper at your house, what are you mad for? And I also feel like if you have the ability to get on the internet and comment about a video that you saw on the internet and say how trash somebody is, you should be able to afford the toilet paper if you can afford the internet, right? I don't know. Just a thought. I've been half tempted to maybe prank some of my friends like that. And that was one of the first pranks that I thought of because I, for the first time ever, recently had bought a pack of toilet paper from Costco. And I always thought that it was like a joke that it like came so many rolls. And I was like, yo, this is a lot of toilet paper. Like there's enough, like if I wanted to take a couple of packs worth to go roll a house, I could do that and I could still have plenty. And I feel like in a month and a half or 2 months, whenever I need toilet paper, I feel like the stores will probably have it available. So seeing a video of someone doing that now can't put me in a state of stress when I know that I have plenty of toilet paper here at home. But like, am I an asshole for saying that? Shit. Yeah, probably. But I really don't give a shit. I bought the toilet paper. I'm going to do what the fuck I want with the toilet paper. I'll wrap that shit around my head, my entire body, and walk around the freaking store like a goddamn mummy if I want to. And ain't nobody going to say shit to me. And then you know what I'll do? I'll rip pieces off of it and then freaking get Nutella and make it look like I just been wiping my ass all day and leave it all around the place if it'll make y'all happy. You want to know why? Because if you paid for the toilet paper, you own the toilet paper. It's your toilet paper. You can do what the funk you want with the toilet paper. So I'm not mad at the Kardashians. If anything, I'm mad for how bad of a job they did actually toilet paper in the house. Like, all of those people in that family they come from a time when kids did that with frequency. How are they bad at that? Like, y'all are really not good at a lot of things in life. That's the more embarrassing part. I don't feel it was wasteful though, because in the end, if they run out of toilet paper and in the store they go to don't ever have any, or like if you own the store that they shop at, you felt like the video was wrong, you have the right to deny them service. If they come rushing in talking about they need toilet paper and you don't have any, and they give you an attitude, remind them of that video. There you go. You don't have to be a dick about it. Be like, you should have thought about that when you was wasting toilet paper roll in the house. That's just my opinion. Keep it moving, and then tell them what their total is. $59.95. You don't got the toilet paper because we won't have none, and I'm not finna go to the back and get you none because you don't know how to use it correctly. If you feel like doing that because you're in a position of power where you own the grocery store that they shop at and you do have the right to refuse them service, then you should do that. But because none of y'all are in this situation, getting mad at them for that toilet paper, that shit is pointless. Like I said, they just look like bozos if they end up running out. And then if we ever see them on like a TikTok video crying about how dry their ass cheeks are, like that won't be our problem. That'll be their problem. Don't be so damn wasteful. But like I said, you did a terrible job rolling that house. I'm not impressed. You ladies should be ashamed of your damn self. I think it was like Chloe and then like maybe Courtney's son. I don't know these fucking people. One of the famous ones, and then some young kid. They didn't do a good job. Like I said, it's kind of embarrassing. And maybe that's why people are so upset. I don't know. Anyways, Mike Tyson is, making a comeback. We talked about that on the show the other day. And apparently that's prompting other old niggas to come back too. And so Evander Holyfield has decided that he wants to make a comeback. And it got me thinking today, would we like to see Evander Holyfield versus Mike Tyson again? And I know they have since, kind of squashed their, long, whatever, like feud and beef after Mike bit off a piece of his ear. And there was even like a commercial where he like shows up to his house, gives it back to him in a box, and they share an embrace and da-da-da-da-da. And it's, whether it's all just for fun and maybe they were just getting paychecks, maybe they really still hate each other. But I think everything kind of shows you that right now that they still, like they're kind of friendly. But I wonder what would happen if they were, provided an opportunity to actually get in the ring with one another and throw hands. I feel like seeing the video of Mike, I feel like Mike will probably wash Evander up. And I feel like it will be with relative ease. Now, you're talking, this is two old people fighting. And like I said, I mean this with the utmost respect to both of you gentlemen, just in case this end up getting somewhere and y'all see it. I don't want y'all coming for me trying to knock me the fuck out. But like I said, with all due respect, it's going to be two old people fighting. So it's not going to be like, I don't know if it will be super exciting. I think it's going to be, they might get in there and they're going to like try to fill it out a little bit, throw a couple of jabs. And then I think Evander, after a while, I think he'll get a little bit tired. And then I think Mike's going to knock his, he's going to go from like kind of in a dementia state to full on after Mike knocks him out. But like I said, what do we pay to watch this? Now you think of some of the like biggest fights we've seen in the last like 5 to 7 years. Unfortunately, one of the biggest ones is, Mayweather, McGregor. That was pretty big. Pacquiao, and Mayweather. That was pretty big. These heavyweight fights, they're usually pretty big. But I think if we were able to get Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, I don't think it will be very exciting to watch, but I think the hype leading up, I think will be crazy. And I think a lot of people would pay for that. Like I said, I think Mike knocks him out in like the first round. I don't know, man. Maybe Evander's ready, but at the same time, Evander Holyfield is, I think he's 57 years old. Mike Tyson's 52. Like, let's battle little old niggas. And I think Mike will get him because even though Mike is 52, he's still probably punching like he's 22. And I don't think Evander Holyfield is not built like Mike Tyson. It's just they're a different breed. Hold on, I got hitting up the Lumpia Connect. Y'all thought I was playing, boy. I'll stop the whole damn show for this. I don't even care. I'll take 15 of them things. Let's see. All right. I'm about to knock out these Lumpias when I get them. All right. So, other crazy things that we have going on. I think this is probably the most outrageous thing I saw today. And I'm kind of back and forth about how I feel about things opening up and about, what we should do, how we should all proceed. I'm kind of subscribing to the idea of like, look, I understand that it is kind of a risk to everyone else and we should try to avoid that, do your part. But I'm kind of like, let people do whatever they want and let the consequences fall on them however they may. That ends up being their problem. But I know not everybody is cool with that. But the Mall of America is supposedly planning to open up on June 1st. And I think that is absolutely insane. And I think the main reason why I think it's kind of crazy and absurd is because that is a very large place. But I started to think, like, even though the mall itself is opening, like, I wonder what businesses within that mall would actually open up. Because I'm sure a lot of those places just pay whatever the rent is to run their shop, but they still probably have, obviously full control and decision-making whether or not they actually employ staff and keep their stores open. But the Mall of America is a big place. That would be a lot of damn people all in one area, shopping, coughing, being nasty, and doing whatever it is they're doing. I don't know how I feel about that. But then at the same time, I mean, a trip to Foot Locker right now actually don't sound too bad. You know what I'm saying? So look, it says, we are prepared to open our doors. Mall of America to reopen retail stores on June 1st. That sounds absurd. Let's see. The announcement comes a day after Governor Tim Walz gave the go-ahead for retail businesses to reopen beginning on May 18th with restrictions. The announcement is promising news, not just for Mall of America, but for our entire retail community. The mall said in an announcement, Mall of America is home to more than 175, but it says small business owners, in addition to hundreds of national and global brands. We are prepared to open our doors so they can open theirs, giving them the opportunity to begin rebuilding their business. Whew. Man, I don't know. So it says not all retailers within our building will open immediately. We understand it may be longer before some are ready to reopen. All dining and attractions will continue to remain closed, but food establishments can still operate through curbside and delivery. Reopening a building the size of Mall of America, is no small task, but we are confident taking the necessary time to reopen will help us create the safest environment possible. We look forward to welcoming back our team members, tenants, and guests. Nah, fam, that don't even sound lit. Man, I don't know. I think like a week ago, I probably would have been like, nah, fuck it, just do it. But now I'm like, are we really in a rush to just run back to everything? I think about all the complaining about life that I was doing. Some of it was because of how shit was. Everything being overcrowded, motherfuckers being nasty, and like, traffic being terrible, and I don't know, man. Like, I love going to work, don't get me wrong. And like, things are cool working from home. I would rather be at work, but like, I ain't mad at the fact that I'm not having to put so many miles on my car and having to pay so much, money towards gas and shit like that. So some of the stay-at-home shit like is helping, rebuild my pockets now. I get it because people need to make money, and part of the way people make money is that they sell things, and then you need people to buy things, and in order for a lot of people to buy stuff, they need to actually be able to go and touch it and try it on and do all this. But if at this point, even if you go to a store and they let you in, anything you touch, they're probably going to make you buy in an effort to not spread the germs. Why wouldn't you just shop online anyway? What are you going to do? Try on 100 things and have to end up taking all that home, or now the company has to eat all the costs for that? Like, I get maybe them bringing in their employees to like, stock shelves and get shipments out and do things like that. If places are ordering from small businesses rather than ordering from, big global brands, which have big ass like freaking, production places and, all that type of shit where they can ship everything out. Like, obviously, like, small businesses just have their stock within their stores. So maybe you need employees for that, but like, they're not gonna probably let you do a whole lot while you're in there. You might as well just stay home and order that shit. Like, I don't know. Now I'm starting to kind of feel like everybody else. What's the rush of opening up everything? But then again, people got to get money, man. I think if I was still working in retail, I'd probably be like, open this shit up, man. I need my job back. Da, 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 da. So I get it, but I don't know. I would not be going to a Mall of America. That'll probably be the last place on earth that I ever go to, because that seemed like one of those places where, like, if it was gonna, like, the virus itself was gonna flare up again, it probably would be at the Mall of America, just because it's so damn big. And I bet you there's gonna be so many people that's gonna be nasty as hell, walking around there coughing, doing all kinds of gross shit. So I don't know if I'm a big fan of that. But then again, I'm somebody that's screaming for the gym to open. See, I don't fucking know, man. I'm different every day. Like, some days I'm like, yo, it's cool, but then other days I'm like, nah, man, we gotta open this shit up. I don't know, man. You know what? I need the gym open. Y'all might as well open up that mall. So shout out to Mall of America for having the ability to be opened up on June 1st, man. I wish the gym was open. I feel it. Listen, if the Mall of America could open up, LA Fitness should be able to open up, including in the state of Washington. Listen, take the cues from Mall of America. They feel strongly about it. They feel like it's gonna be all right. We should be all right, man. All right. This has been a crazy couple of weeks. We had 2 stories today that we're going to do. The number 1 story of the night, I'm going to get to that at the very end, but we are going to talk about Miss Breonna Taylor. Fuck, man. I don't understand. I do understand. I know exactly why it continues to happen. We all know. There's no need for me to give a speech or talk about how garbage, these types of those people are. We all know. Said it once, said it 1,000 times, but R.I.P. Breonna Taylor. You did not deserve what happened to you. And that is the understatement of the year. But our first story begins. Let me open it up, man. I have this saved in multiple places. This is just crazy. And seeing the video was crazy too, because Buddy recorded it. So this is in Oklahoma City. And so they had this delivery driver. Of course, he's black. He's in his work truck. He's in his work uniform. And he goes to deliver something to, some white folks. And it's like a gated community. Gate seems really nice, like state of the art, all that type of shit. I guess when he's leaving and he's working, his name's Travis Miller, and he works at a home and appliance and furniture store. So he's a delivery driver. And so he put it on Facebook Live while he was driving through the neighborhood. And so he gets stopped by a resident, and the guy like blocks his truck with his car. So it's like the road is just wide enough and there's grass on both sides, where obviously he's not going to drive his work truck on the grass, because then if somebody calls it in, it's necessary drama, unnecessary drama, excuse me. And so he sits there, he's patient, he's got him blocked in, he can't leave, and you can hear him saying it on the camera. And then I guess the guy who's blocking him in, his name is David Stewart. And so one of the things I mentioned on the show last week, or one of the shows the other days, when I was talking about for white people specifically, if you guys are going to do this type of stuff, then when people like ask you about it, don't go and hide. So apparently David Stewart is the guy who's blocking his way, and he claims that he's the Homeowners Association president. So Travis asked him to move. This takes about 30 minutes, and then they keep saying they're going to call the cops on him and doing all this type of stuff. And then after about an hour, they end up letting them leave, because I guess the person who got the delivery went out there and like checked on it. But the funny thing is that I guess like they were asking this gentleman, Travis, they were asking for the information, like, what were you doing and who'd you drop it off to, and And obviously it's his job. He's not giving out anybody's personal information to some fucking strangers, but then he ends up having to like call the cops, and like, he's like recording a video, and like, even I felt bad for my man because he started shedding tears and everything. But like, he's like in a situation where he like, I think he even said in the video where he was calling to follow up with the police because the white guys that were out there blocking his way said that they had already called. And I guess one of the things he says on the video is that he called them to follow up and give them his account of the story because he didn't want to get in trouble for fleeing the scene. And in my head, when I first heard that, I was like, my nigga, you haven't committed a crime. You can't flee the scene. You're not at a fucking scene. And maybe my tone seems harsh towards him because I imagine I'm in the conversation with him, but I'm not being frustrated with him. But there's a part of me that's thinking like, yo, the rough part of me wants him to get out of the car and take these two niggas and freaking crack their skulls together and watch them bleed out on the concrete just because they're being stupid. And I know that's crazy and that's over the top, but based on the last couple of weeks that we've had, with more and more of our people ending up getting killed for no reason and being hassled by all these freaking scary ass white people, it's put me to a point where like, yeah, there is a bit of frustration, and maybe I want the most severe of penalties because I know that the justice system isn't going to do anything about this. And you're probably thinking, well, why would they do anything? It's not that big of a deal. But at the same time, I mean, harassment is still a thing that exists within our world. And so these two guys stopping this guy while he's working, you're talking about he can end up getting in trouble within his job because he's not on time for said deliveries, because that's something that we do now in our world. We promise people delivery and we tell them it'll be within a certain amount of time. Can you imagine if you're getting yelled at because your delivery's late? And to think about if you had to tell your boss, like, well, what you want me to do? Because what if he didn't tape it? And then he ends up getting in trouble for being late. And then he has to try to explain about how these two white guys harassed him and stopped him. Like, what if he has a shitty supervisor and the guy doesn't believe him? Oh, you're just making trouble for me again. Da 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 da. Yeah, it sounds really crazy, doesn't it? But this type of shit happens. Think about the amount of times it's not caught on tape when this shit happens. And then think when we try to go tell people. Think about if you have a white supervisor and you live in a place like Oklahoma. If he's delivering within a service area and these type of people exist, it's not a freaking far-fetched thing to think that maybe his employer could potentially be the same way. Now, it could be 50-50. We're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And obviously this is hypothetical, but damn, what if? What if he ends up being late because he's being hassled and he doesn't record it? Imagine how hard it is trying to explain this type of situation to people. And think about the amount of times that people would never, ever believe you. And they make you, as the person of color who's being harassed, have to play the role of the criminal or the liar and the bullshitter and da 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 da. While these people harass him, this is fucking harassment. You mean you're holding someone for an hour against their free will? Harassment. Like, they should be brought up on charges. So earlier I talked about this guy David who wanted to cause all these problems, but then when the news channel, because this was done, they brought this up on the news and they did a whole story about it. But the fact that when the news channel reached out to him for comment, My man was nowhere to be found. Come on, bro. You're on video. You see him recording you. You're on tape, huffing and puffing with your chest all out, using your homeowners association president title as if it's some fucking badge of honor or some shit like that. Like, my nigga, you're a nobody. You're the homeowners association president. There's no power associated with that. No real power, at least. I know people who own homes are probably like, well, you have to remember that they can do this, and I don't give a fuck about that. My nigga, he don't get to make the fucking rules. He don't get to do nothing. He can't press people like this. He ain't wearing no uniform. He don't have no gun, no badge. He don't have none of that. He has no real power. He's some freaking shrimp dick having ass little white dude who drives a Subaru and has nothing better to do than to hassle black people because his life is fucking awful. He needs excitement. This is the type of stuff as a white man that probably gets his dick hard. First time ever that he probably had an erection. No, you should have seen how I punked this black dude. Had him stuck and hemmed up in the car. And we told him we were going to call the cops on him. Honey, you should have seen me. Now I'm ready. Let's go to bed. This is probably what they do, man. This is the type of shit that excites them. Motherfuckers are pathetic. Homeowners Association president. Who the fuck is he? If I was my man in the truck, there was a part of me that when I was watching it, and I know that they would have gotten in their car and they would have gone away, because I would have jumped out really quick. And you know how I know this works? Because I've done it to people before. When they try to stop you and they hassle you, if you jump out quick and then you make it feel to them like something is going to crack off, they panic. Because they only want to be tough when they know they're safe. They're saying all this stuff to my man because they know he's up in his truck. He's obviously not getting out of the truck, so it's easy for them to stand by their vehicle in front of his vehicle and yell out threats to him. And yes, stopping a person for no damn reason and then threatening to call the cops on them for no damn reason just based on the color of their skin, that's a threat. Regardless of how any of you want to think about it, it is a threat. So because they're threatening him, that shit is easy when you're standing next to one of your fellow brethren. And it's you guys standing in front of the Subaru with your fucking shirts tucked into your jeans and wearing your freaking Nike Air Monarchs like you're about to go cut the fucking lawn. It's easy to do that shit. You have my man hemmed up, and you're lucky he's not a nigga like me. Because like I said, we would have jumped out. And make them jump in their car and they'll roll away. But, then I also started thinking, see, that's the problem. My man actually played it smart. You stay in the car, you let them do whatever it is they need to do. You make sure you document everything, and then you walk away without any problems. Because even in my scenario, if you jump out, then all of a sudden it becomes that you are the one who is the aggressor. And then that's all of a sudden when all the other cameras, will probably emerge. And then it's you on tape, or me in this case. Me on tape, wilding out, going crazy. See, I did it that one time in traffic because it was like 6 a.m. in the morning. And so obviously no one was out there recording and it was dark, but I almost got my fucking head blown off because you also don't know if a person ever is going to have a weapon or not. So it is smart that my man didn't do anything, but obviously in broad daylight, well, I can't even say what I was about to say because yes, they actually do shoot you in broad daylight as well. It's crazy. Yeah, I didn't like that. I do often say on this show that sometimes I'm hoping that maybe there's an opportunity for me to end up in a situation like this just so I can slap the shit out of one of these motherfuckers. Which sounds crazy, I know, but I'm crazy. So yes, sometimes I'm hoping for some action. But then again, I'm glad that it doesn't happen. I definitely did feel bad for my man that he was having to cry on a Facebook Live video and call the cops to confirm that they weren't going to come hassle him if he left the fucking scene. Because even after these two bozos pulled away, he ends up, sitting there still. Hold on. We have a call. We're taking a caller. It's better be important because you're on the show right now.
It's very important.
It better be related to what I'm talking about because this is in the middle of my show.
What is it that you're talking about?
Are you calling to be on the show? Because if not, I gotta hang up.
No, but hold on. I don't know what you're talking about. I was trying to talk, but I wanted to hear your opinion on this paper I'm writing.
Oh, you gotta text it to me, man. I'm doing the show right now. Well, what's your paper about?
It's my paper. My paper is about the Black Lives Matter movement.
Okay, well, let's hear it. Go ahead. Start up.
It's in relation to the text messages I had sent you from a classmate, the one who referred to or used the term Negroes.
Okay, let's get into it. So, okay, here, how about we do this? I was kind of talking about some racial shit anyway. So I want you to go ahead and tell the world who you are, and then I want you to tell them about these text messages from your classmate, and then you can ask me your questions, and we'll get into it. Oh no, the phone cut out. You hung up? I'm about to call back because we're about to get into this because this is right on par with what we're talking about.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry, one of my pods died, and then.
Oh my gosh, AirPod problems. I don't have those.
Man.
I'm not cool enough to have AirPods yet. All right, so go ahead, tell the world who you are, and then tell them about these text messages that you got from a classmate.
Okay, so my name is Ombi Jones. I'm a student at Wenatchee Valley College. I don't know if I can shout them out, but we gonna put it all out there. And so, as everybody knows, during this whole COVID, classes are online, and so discussions and everything is being held in online. And here recently, well, just on Tuesday, we had a girl in my class. Basically, an assignment that we're talking about is like an attitude discussion. We're identifying like strong attitudes that you have towards an event, a person, place, or thing, and then an attitude that you have against, a person, place, or thing.
Gotcha.
And this girl in the class basically was, I'm just going to paraphrase, she's like, one attitude I have against this hatred. She goes on to say, like, an example of where this is shown is when, like, neo-Nazis and KK clans gather to express their opinions on Jews, Negroes, etc. And so I'm like, hold on, did she just use the term Negroes to describe, people of color, Black people?
Oh, that's wild.
So, yeah, so by that time, after reading that, everything she said after that, she lost me just because it's just like, you used the wrong term. And I'm so thankful that this quarter, there's another sister in the class. And
okay, shout out to all
she
my
was able
sisters.
to jump in, she was able to jump in there, boom.
Yeah.
Basically hit the girl with some logic, and just she was more respectful and was asking the girl, like, were you referring to Black people or people of color as Negroes? Because if so, she gives her some history of, the Black Power movements and the politics of, liberation. And, but, I had to go on there and co-sign and get a little hyper with the girl.
Can I ask you a question?
So, yeah.
So a long time ago, I kind of highlighted you on this show because you had said you had a classmate who did something similar that was equally as corny.
Yeah, and this is not the same girl.
Oh, so this is a different girl. God damn. Okay. Okay. All right.
Which makes
Damn.
it even worse.
Different girls. Okay. So is this based on just because maybe it's just the area that this works? So where is this? This place is in Wenatchee. Is that right?
So the college. So we have a campus here in Omak, and Omak, Washington is out in the boonies.
Okay. This is like these type of people may have only seen maybe a handful of brothers and sisters in their lifetime, probably.
Basically.
Gotcha. Okay. Damn, this is pretty crazy. Okay, so this girl, she says this. Okay, so you sent me these text messages, and so because the names were blanked out, I kind of was a little bit confused. But the person who said that part, that was the white girl, and so the issue that you guys were kind of taking was the fact that the way she was referring to people was obviously very unsavory. And so was that the only thing she kind of said in regards to her stance on this topic? Or was there more?
She basically basically what it was, what killed me about the whole situation is she contradicted herself, because she's sitting there talking about, you know, I have a strong attitude I have is against hatred, but in the same literally same sentence is like Jews and Negroes. And it's like, whoa, these words stem from hatred. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
yeah, her phrasing was,
baby girl.
Yeah, she probably could have used some different way to describe the people that she was trying to maybe defend. Is that how she kind of was starting it out? Like she was wanting to defend those people, but denounce the hate from the groups that hated on those people, but then still like use the terms that they use to describe
use their terminology. So it was crazy to read. And I actually, in my comment back to her in the discussion, I'm letting her know, like, you know, it's been considered inappropriate, totally racist, you know, to refer to Black people as Negroes in America for more than 50 years. Like,
you know what's crazy? I don't even feel like that's one that we really say to each other. Like, I don't, you know, that one even seems like, yo, it's getting a little close, bro. Chill. Like, it's close to disrespect.
And then, you know, I just had to also let her know, like, anything you were trying to say was lost after that.
Yeah.
You know, just because of her failure to describe Black people appropriately.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
okay, so you're doing your paper, and so what is your paper about, and what are your questions for me?
So I'm talking about, I'm gonna hit home with it. You know, before I called you, I was on the phone with my friend trying to, you know, figure out if I should make it, you know, talk about race, and with just the recent events that have been taking place, I said, yeah, I'm gonna go there.
Might as well. I mean, I literally, before you called, I was talking about, did you see the video that the guy made where he did a video on Facebook Live where he did a delivery to a rich white neighborhood, and they like...
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah, so that was what I was talking about when you called. And I was kind of giving like my take on, like, you know, kind of getting people to understand like the thoughts that go through the different psyches of different Black men. Like, and my first thought was, when I saw that, I was like, bro, I would have just jumped out. Because then I would have rushed them, and then they would have left, and then maybe I would have ran them over on the way out or something, you know. But I would immediately say, well, I feel like he did the right thing by staying in the car, because you let them act stupid, you record it. That way you don't end up becoming, you know, the aggressor and being the thing that changes the narrative, because that's what they try to do to us. Like, but the unfortunate thing about that is it's almost like we have to just accept all the disrespect and take the punishment in order just to prove that we are not who they think we are. But yet it's still possible, because even look at my man Ahmaud, like, killed in broad daylight, and now they're harping on the fact that he was, you know, for a minute or two was walking around in a house that's not even built yet. But like they're trying everything they can to flip it to where like he's a bad person, but these guys are just like, they're just okay because they were just looking out for their neighborhood, right? Like, but they killed him in broad daylight. Like, you know, because if we do that, like we're horrible people, we're the devil, we're criminals, we're thugs, we're this, we're all of these things. So it's just crazy. Well, anyway, so your paper, let's hear about this paper.
So I'm just going to touch bases. I'm actually talking about Ahmaud in there. You know, I'm paying my respects to him.
Yeah.
And just every other Black, you know, brother or sister out there whose lives have been taken too soon. I talk about like something that I'm against. So it's two different, like I was saying, two different things. Something that you have a strong feeling for, like, and it could be a person, place, or thing, and then something that you're against. And so one of the things that I'm talking about with an event that I'm for, or for an organization, is the Black Lives Matter movement. And I'm basically just touching base in there where I believe it should be considered by all Americans and recognized, and it should be a challenge, and people should understand the effects of 100 years of discrimination, and you know, how we should challenge our government, our institutions, our police forces, our criminal justice system, our corporations, our schools, universities, and, constantly examine their policies to be able to promote diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
Call out any discrimination and being able to reduce implicit bias and just, so I'm touching base on that. And then the second part of the question is, just asking, how you acquired this attitude. And so I'm getting deep in it in my paper now. So that's why I was calling you to see how I should word it, because I was basically going to be talking about just generational trauma. As children, we hear about the stories from our grandparents, our great grandparents, and even our parents. Kind of, every Black child reaches a point where you're getting talked to about how you could find yourself in trouble just because the color of your skin.
Yeah.
So I'm basically touching base on that, touching base on, how my ancestors, they suffered the worst kind of racism as a result of bullshit, of hatred and ignorance.
That's what it is,
And so that's basically what I'm talking about. Just knowing, touching base about how I knew survivors like my great grandparents and my grandparents even. So, and then in the other part, where I was just talking about something that I'm against is against casual racism, which is a form of racism, and it basically refers to involving a negative stereotype. Which, and some examples could be jokes, offhand comments, exclusion of people from social situations based on race, and just talking about how I acquired that by, coming up in a complex, multiracial family, and kind of touching base on that of just being a biracial woman. And I think I'm gonna hit this group kind of hard in this discussion.
Yeah, you should.
Because, like I said, it's just me and one other sister in the group, and so it'll be interesting to see the feedback that I even get from my instructor, because she's, Caucasian. I'm ready for her white woman tears. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it.
We'll definitely have to have you on the follow up about that. First, I want to say, because after my show on Tuesday, I watched Romeo Must Die. Just just to go back to it. Classic movie. But I didn't realize how racist that movie is. Like both groups, like the Asian people, like all the comments and little digs and jokes that they make about the Black people, and then the same thing like when Jet Li show up to the park to talk to Aaliyah. And when they're like, yo, you should go play football. Like, I forget, what does Buddy say? Buddy says something to him. He says something to the effect of like this ain't what your kind of people do, or we don't allow their kind of people to do it. Like, I was like, bro, what do you mean, bro? Like, they're just people. Like, I was like, no, this is crazy, because like when I was young and we watched it, like we just thought Anthony Anderson was being funny. Like you're not realizing like, kind of some of the effect that like now, like if this movie was to be made now the exact same way, or like just playing it now, it's like you hear it and you kind of see like how crazy it is. And it's like, damn. Like, I mean, I'm somebody that obviously like, as somebody who likes to kind of do comedy and like make a lot of jokes and stuff like that, I would never want to feel like we would like lose like our sense of humor. But it still is one of those things where like now we live in a time where like every little thing, like if I don't know, it can come off bad, especially depending on who you're talking to. And like
a hypersensitive.
It does kind of seem like that. But at the same time, like even someone like me who thinks a lot of shit is funny, like I think about like growing up in Florida, I've said this on the show before. There are kids, and I do not feel bad saying this, and if you guys are watching, don't think that I never noticed what you were doing. But because my real name is Nick, and my last name starts with an A, the kids used to take my name and they would call me Nicka, like Nick A, but they would literally, it was white kids trying to call me nigga to my face, thinking that I didn't notice. But based on how we are conditioned to think, based on the talks that we have with our parents, our grandparents, and also kind of depends on the type of family you come from. In the town that we lived in, although my mom is somebody who would turn up in a heartbeat, because my mom is Black and Puerto Rican, she's half crazy because her father is crazy. And so like she's about that action, but understanding in the town that we lived in, where it was, 99.3% white people who are looking for any and all excuses and reasons to, get you the fuck out of there, you kind of are like taught that you have to kind of tolerate that shit a little bit. And that it's easier to get along if you just go along. So then as a young kid, like I grow up thinking like I have to let white people disrespect me. And like that the only way I can have friends is if I let these motherfuckers call me these names and shit. And I will admit, I end up being a victim of my own circumstance because I'm literally being told like you have to let this shit go. So like in elementary school and early middle school, I let them treat me like shit like that. Because I was like, well, the only way I'm going to be able to like be cool with anybody is if I allow them to oppress me.
Yeah.
And you don't know that when you're a kid because you don't understand how deep that shit is. So you hear those conversations, but like depending on who you are and the type of family you come from, and even our Black families, they vary. You and I were having a conversation the other day where I was literally telling you where I feel like I'm not as connected as I probably should be. Because my circumstances have kind of put me in a place where like, and not now as I'm older, I have no excuse because I have the resources are there. They're there if you want to get them and read the literature and obtain it and then teach it and educate your other fellow brothers and sisters. But like me, I don't think I have been putting my best foot forward because I've just kind of been like, well, I didn't really know the stuff before and I haven't really gone back to learn it. But the one thing that I do know is that I would never, ever want to be in the space that I allowed myself to be in as a young child, where like I won't let any of my white friends speak to me in any manner like that. Now, if they want to try to tell me that they think it's foul and it's trash that I say the N-word, to me, I kind of use it to sun them a little bit. I'm like, you know what? It's a privilege that I have been afforded that you do not have and you will never have. I will not let you disrespect me like that. And you know what? I don't feel bad about doing that because I see kind of how the things that they try to do and the ways that they try to not only swindle our people, but Native Americans have taken the brunt of this shit too and have been treated absolutely terrible, in our history. And they try to erase that shit and try to forget it. And like when you think of all of these things and you think of how we're like literally, and even it does differ from men to women, especially, of African descent. And because I know our women get treated, I would say probably much worse than the men do in some regards because they're already at a disadvantage. But I know as a young Black man, I was always told like, hey, white people say a couple things to you. They expect you that you're going to get a bunch of girls pregnant and that you're going to commit crimes, and they don't plan that you will live past 18. And so we're all growing up. We're already kind of thinking like, yo, we're not going to make it that long. Our opportunities are way less.
18 or you're going to be
in prison. Or you're going to prison. Yeah, they tell you that. Right. Yeah, it's crazy. And I think of like recently, like my mom was very, very, very close with this white family that was close to her family growing up as kids. And her and this young lady that was in this family, they were best friends all through childhood growing up, and they kind of adopted my mom. But here's the thing. They are white people. And so I remember when I was told by my mom that I was moving back to Florida to go be with my dad, the one lady who my family used to refer to as like my aunt, the thing that she said to me, I probably was like 11, 12 years old, she says, I hear you're going back to Florida. It's like, well, good luck and don't get any girls pregnant. That is literally what she said to me when I was like 13 years old. Because I think
the last thing you're thinking about.
That's what I'm saying. 13. At 13, I assure you, I did not lose my virginity till I was 17 years old. And even then, I really wasn't thinking about girls. I thought I was going to go to the NBA, even though I was completely garbage at basketball. My focus was totally on sports. It was not on girls. But the fact that at age 13, she felt that it was appropriate to provide me with best wishes, and those wishes were, please don't get anyone pregnant. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you're literally thinking that. And then I think about when I went back to live with my dad and like what I deem as torture, because I think it is torture. Maybe it's not torture like we think of torture. I wasn't getting bamboo shoots shoved up my fingernails and no shit like that. But, you know, I remember being followed down the hallway in the middle of the school, being called the N-word, while teachers and other students don't do a fucking thing about it because they don't care. It's okay that kids are literally walking behind me, calling me a nigger, and people aren't doing anything. And you know what I had to do? I had to just chuck that shit up and act like it wasn't a big deal. And as soon as I got off that school bus and walked in my house, I remember literally breaking down and crying because it was every day for like 2 weeks I was having to deal with that shit. You got these white people out here getting upset because we're referring to them as Karen. Can you imagine being a teenager and going to school and being harassed like that all day, every single day, not having anyone that you can actually go to who's going to do anything and defend you? And then they get mad at you when you take matters into your own hands. Because again, depending on what black family you come from, some black parents or old heads in a black family or in a black neighborhood, they tell you different things. Don't let them treat you like that, young blood. Maybe handle it on your own. Or if they get too close, do what you got to do. Da, 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 da. And then I ended up catching this little label. I was asshole, criminal, kid who's never going to make it, troublemaker, class clown, which that was preferred. But all of these little labels started being attached to me because I was, angry black kid too. That's the one that they really love doling out, is that they label you as angry or shit. I was even called monkey at school a few times, directly in front of a teacher. Then I had a teacher tell me that I needed to go chill out because I was starting to get too hyped up. Like, bitch, I just got called a monkey to my face. And I know I got big ass ears like Martin Lawrence, but shit, you ain't finna be disrespecting me in here like that. Shit. Right. Shit was crazy. But yeah, it's interesting when I think about some of my experiences, and that's just some, man. I haven't even gotten to, like I said, I've talked about it on the show before, but you think of the police brutality that I've experienced. I mean, even out here, you know, it hasn't been very often, but even in my time in Seattle, like you see how some of these people act, the looks that they give you, the comments that they make.
No, that's true. And I honestly feel like, you know, in grade school, I don't know how you were treated in lower grades, but those are critical. It's critical for Black boys and girls is those early years, you know, where people are treating you too, because like what you're saying, you carry all that with you.
Yep.
You know, I got my daughter who's 5, who wanted to drop out of gymnastics because nobody looked like her. And everybody wanted to touch her hair. All the white girls in gymnastics were, you know, trying to touch her hair and stuff. And so it's just, or saying something about her. And so it's critical. It's critical.
You know, even in that, like those kids just don't even know.
Speak out on it.
You got to speak out on. You got to. I was just saying, even for those kids, to asking her to touch her hair, like it's sad that like they don't know to not do that because their parents don't teach them shit. But then it ends up being where you have to teach your daughter to like have boundaries up and take precautions and do it. Why is it that you have to teach them, but they don't have to teach their kids?
Right. Your kids are just going to be tested, and you know, you get to a point where your kid is turning into the angry Black child. They don't want to be at school, you know, and because so much stuff is going on, and you just keep thinking about the troubling times that we're in right now. You know, how can we affect change in all of our communities to make it work and happen? You know, these are the questions that I've been asking myself. And I know that we talked on the phone about it, you know, a couple of days ago, just, you know, starting resources and mentorship, you know, things that you've been doing. You know, you're doing great work in the community, and I applaud you for it because, we need more people like this, you know, out here living it, not just talking about it, you know.
So let me ask you this though. Okay, so I mean, obviously we can sit here and we can talk about the problem all day. What are some of your thoughts around like solutions to some of this stuff, and what do you think maybe are some of our first steps to maybe getting better in life?
Oh gosh, I'm over here. I could start, really rambling about it.
Hey, go ahead. We got an hour. we got time, cuz. Go ahead.
No, it's just going back to the first few years. It starts really at home too, just having the education and resources and the type of attitude. Because I'm just gonna be honest. It's home life plays a big part into it too. Like what we're talking about, a lot of kids, don't have parents that, we're coming from broken homes already. A lot of single parent homes. So already, a mom working hard, all this type of stuff. So I think just being able to have resources in the community, mentorship, and I haven't really been talking about it too much, but my friend and I were in cahoots right now trying to work on, she's a realtor. We're looking at property in the Spokane area and trying to get some funding to get something kind of launching off the ground. And we've been looking into, I would like to work with rehabilitating prisoners. I've been doing a lot of advocacy for victims in prison here lately, and it's something that I'm holding near and dear to me.
Yeah.
But I just think, there's a lot of things that we could go on about how, like I'm saying, the community resources, setting up mentors for children, and obviously, trying to take a stand like in your remote community, like to be able to knock it out. I noticed like here where I live, it's on a reservation. So, the other people of color out here are Native Americans.
Yeah.
So trying to get my foot in the door, working with the tribal resources that they have out here, talking to people. I think even you having your podcast and getting your voice out there, you never know who you might touch or who might come across your podcast and, share it to the next person. And, it's just a long list of things. And I think it's really just starting with us at this point. Like we really have to invest. And I don't know if you've watched, what is it? It's on Netflix. It's with Killer Mike. I think that's his name.
No, but I have it on my list. I know he has a thing on there, but I haven't watched it.
I recently just watched one of his episodes. It's the first episode, and it's basically where he's going out and buying, using the Black dollar and investing his money in Black people, and him going through like this hard time being able to find like locally grown vegetables that are, by Black people, or even grown cannabis that are, by Black people. And I think too, just investing in the Black dollar, people need to be better educated, and those are just some things off the top of my head. You caught me off guard with that, but I knew you were gonna go there.
Yeah.
But next time, look, I'm gonna text you a whole big list. I'm gonna get off the phone and be like, "Damn it, I should have said this."
Hey, well, you have plenty of opportunities. You can come on here anytime you want to talk about it. This is what this is for. I mean, like I was telling you the other day, like I think it's important that this platform be used for this type of stuff because, and I'll say this to the people listening, what we were talking about the other day was the fact that I feel like I haven't, put as much effort into putting my actions behind my words about how I want to impact change for my people. And so we talk about all the complaints about how we're being brutalized by police. And now, our situation all week has been, with Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery. It's like, these people are being killed by random white people for no fucking reason. And so we can complain about that all day. But obviously I can admit that I'm not somebody that's out here on the front lines. Like, you know, I didn't start a petition or create a GoFundMe. Like, I didn't march on anybody, and I'm not really that type of person anyway. Like, you're probably not gonna see me like at a march. I just am not really that guy, but at the same time, I'm somebody that, like, I'm all about supporting efforts and helping, you know, like, create avenues for people to speak their minds, get out in front of this stuff. But like, I would also prefer to be at the table where people are actually making the decisions to where we can get some of this shit corrected. You know, whether it be like our school lunch debt, like we've talked about that on the show 100 times, and we're going to keep talking about it, because when school flares back up in the fall, like, we're going to have a lot of kids who need to eat. And like, obviously, like, not everybody's going to want to pay for that comfortably. And we're also going to be coming out of a time where people are probably going to be unemployed for mad long. So it's going to be hard for kids to eat in the fall. Like, we need to really find some ways to ensure that whole process of denying kids food, that needs to be delayed as long as possible. So it becomes the same thing with this. Is like, you know, we got to find ways to support our local opportunities. Like, we have teenagers who are really involved in these types of things, and like, they want to be on the front lines, and they want to affect change and do the best for their people, so that way they have a really amazing world to live in, because they may look at how we've treated it thus far as terrible, and they're absolutely right. And so we need to make sure that we're providing them with more opportunities, so that way they can be here for the long haul, and make sure that, like, in 20 years we're still not, you know, having people jog down the street and get murdered for no reason.
Right. No, I definitely agree. I just wanted to touch back on it's called Trigger Warning with Killer Mike.
Oh yeah.
Just in case, just so you're.
Yeah, I know Killer Mike is a big time advocate for our people. Like, almost to the point where, like, if you were maybe, you know, as a, you know, African American or Black person, however, you know, everyone wants to refer to us, like, if you were somebody who maybe has not been so involved in, like, the history of our people and, you know, how we're trying to project and propel ourselves forward, at first the stuff with Killer Mike might scare you, like, because he's kind of intense, and it's real, and it's like the passion.
It's raw.
And it's very raw. Like, it's something that, like, you kind of have to get yourself used to, because I know when I first heard him speak about some of this stuff years ago, I ain't gonna lie to you, it was one of those things where, like, I didn't feel like I was any less, because no one can ever make me feel like that in regards to, like, myself, my Blackness, about where I come from, my experiences, like, any of that type of stuff. I don't think I'm any less Black, nor do I look at people as being less Black or anything like that. But, like, he definitely made me question, like, yo, like, am I, like, do I need to, like, really, really tighten up? Like, because there's just so much that, like, if you're not really, and I hate to say woke, because I hate when people say that, because I don't even think it was anything about being woke per se, but, like, maybe there was just things that I was just choosing to ignore because I was too focused on maybe just having fun and living up the best parts of our culture, which is, you know, the music and, like, the dancing and, like, how we're all flashy and we want to be lit. We want to drive cars on rims and have systems and be rappers and entertain and be funny and be sports stars and da 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 da. But, like, you don't realize how all of that stuff is, like, although it's cool, a lot of it is, like, a way for them to, like, oppress you and hold you down, and, like, you got to know this history and, like, learn this person's name and that person's name, and you see what they went through and, like, and when you start learning all that background, like, that shit literally will frighten you, because there is so much shit that people try to cover up and erase from our history. We got to make sure that shit don't happen. So standing behind our local communities and any types of causes that will help prevent, you know, police going into a house that they're not supposed to go into. You know, R.I.P. Breonna Taylor, you know, a young lady out in Kentucky losing her life the same way that we've seen a couple other people in the last 2 years lose their life, where you have police running up in your house for no reason, which I'm still baffled on. How do y'all get the house wrong? We live in 2020 where you type directions into your phone and it takes takes you right to the place where you're supposed to go to. So they didn't break into the wrong house. They did that shit on purpose, probably, because there's no way that you can be that careless unless it's on purpose, because we literally spend all of our time trying to make this shit extremely easy for everybody. How is this something that gets messed up? And then this lady ends up losing her life, and she's an EMT. Was she 27 years old or some shit like that?
Yeah.
That's so young. 27? Like, they not even letting our people live past 30, bro. Like, I can't even believe it. I turned 34 years old this year. I was not supposed to be here past 18. I literally did not think I was going to live past 18. I had my own funeral drawn up in my rap notebook back in the day. That's how crazy this shit is. And I think people think that type of shit is a joke, but can you imagine being that young and already having your funeral drawn up because you know you're only living past this certain point, and to be 34? Oh my God. Every day past 18, I literally was always exceeding the expectations. Even on the days that I struggled, I was exceeding expectations. Should be proud of
I also wanted to touch base too on the Breonna Taylor. Wasn't her husband arrested for that too?
Yeah, I heard that too.
He thought he was breaking. They were breaking in, and he shot back, and they have him for attempted murder now or something like that. I'll have to double check that. But I was seeing some kind of post that was talking about it, and I need to fact check that. But
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, Yeah. And also I wanted to touch base with what you were saying just about, coming back to schools after COVID. Along with the food, we got to talk about mental health too, because a lot of kids have been going through some things during all of this being out of school. We got to have resources set up for that as well.
But see, and that's the thing, is like, when you think of a lot of these school districts, because they don't care, they're not thinking about the fact that since the beginning of March, you have had kids sitting at home in a place where they get abused, they get mistreated, their self-esteem is decreased every day. So some of those kids, they only show up to school with about 20% self-esteem. Can you imagine what it's going to be like after being home for 6-7 months at a time? Like, oh my gosh, some of these poor babies, like, they're going to be in such a bad position because they need school so bad, and it's just to get away from the trauma. And the crazy thing is half of them, they end up with these teachers who, although they went out and got the degrees, they're not actually qualified to work with other humans. And then when they go back to school in the fall, they're not going to be able to handle these kids when these kids can't handle the trauma that they've been experiencing. And you know what's going to happen? You're going to have a bunch of these teachers who are going to end up giving up on these kids because they're weak-minded. They're not cut out for these jobs. And I'm saying that because I'm somebody who works in education. That's what they do. They blame the kids. And I see it all the damn time. And like I said, I don't feel bad about making that claim because as someone who works in education, I see it all the damn time. And when the fall hits, I guarantee you're going to see a lot of schools that they're going to lose teachers. By Christmas, people are going to be quitting jobs because they're not going to know what to do with these kids who come straight from the fucking trap. Can you imagine what a kid like that has been going through and how he's going to show up? Bro, these kids are probably going to show up like dealing at school, bro, ready, because that's how they eat now. They're dealers now. They're lookout boys. They're on the corner. They're wild. They're probably bringing straps to school because they're dealing with violence in the home. Like, they're going to be wild when they come back in the fall.
I think that's something too, just something that schools and, people in education need to think about too, is how are we going to prepare for what could be this trickle down, snowball effect of what's been going on. And then they come back to school, like, you guys got to set up a different kind of teaching plan almost, it's like starting over from scratch. Yeah. Because, you're going to have to be gentle with. And it's not just a certain age group. I think it's everybody.
It's gonna be all kids. Yep.
So
all kids, even the ones that we think we're just gonna be okay. Like I was telling my friend Mark that I was talking to today. We were talking about kids, and even some of the kids who like maybe they were straight A students and da 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 da. Like a lot of that was dependent on their environment and the structure that they had on a daily basis. And without that like routine and that, you know, that drive and desire, depending on like your environment and type of family you come from, it's gonna be hard just to show up with that mentality. Like everybody's coming back different after this. No one comes back the same.
You're absolutely right. Yep.
Shit is crazy, man. I'm excited to read your paper once that's finished. I hope it's like the last one where you were quoting. We quoted Beauty and the Beast. What else was on there? You said you had something else on there.
That 70s show. Was it that 70s show?
Yeah, I think you called this the 70s show.
Masculinity.
Yeah, that was a good paper.
Dropping gems.
Yeah, I also would be interested to hear like what your teacher is gonna say, and then
I'm gonna just add this part. It's baffling to me because the class that I'm in is a professional work relations class. So for the girl to even use the terminology that she did, it's kind of like, whoa. And what's also troublesome to me is, so the program that I'm in right now is a substance abuse counselor. And this girl is also in this program. So just the terminology that she uses is kind of troublesome for me because it's like you're a counselor, but you're referring to, you know, you're just blatantly like Jews and Negroes, you know, and it's like that mindset is scary, you know, but it just proves to me that, you know, that there's people out there with these type of mindsets who are counselors, who are, you know, just touches back, police officers, judges, you know, all types of, and you would never suspect until they open their mouth and they start talking, you know?
That's true.
So
let me ask you this. Would you prefer that she do a better job of hiding it? Because I feel like it would probably be impossible for her to not be like that. But like, what would you suggest that she do differently besides? Because I feel like if you tell her just to use different terminology, because she's probably just a shitty adult, like most adults, she's like, well, don't tell me what to do. I didn't do anything wrong, blah, 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 blah. But like, because I feel like this is one of those things where she should have known from the beginning, like, this is not, I don't know.
Right? It is that moment where you're like, you should have known this, but then it's like, you got to think like, okay, how was she raised? This might be normal.
Yeah, that's
normal
true.
Talk for her. And I guess it just goes back to like what you're saying. I'm tired of making excuses for people. You know, I'm tired of being like, you know, oh, maybe that's how they was raised. I should give the benefit of the doubt or not let their whiteness offend me. And it's like, no, I'm done.
No, that's
just like
true.
what you were saying. I'm not going to keep, you know, tiptoeing around people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm happy that she said something about it because, like, even when I had touched base in the discussion, because there was room for a correction. We, you know, two people, myself and another sister in the group, or in class, you know, were able to, you know, give her correction, whether she takes it, how she takes it, you know, through her lens or whatever, that's on her. You know, I've kind of done my part.
That's all you can do is try to educate them, and then they have to make their choices from there.
Right. But I hope it's something that she would think about next time. You know, when you get called out like something like that, especially in a discussion where everyone's seeing it, it can be very embarrassing. And maybe she needs that embarrassment to be able to make better choices, you know.
Yeah. So
the next time.
Yeah. So this is, you know, it's crazy. I was like low key hoping that it was the same girl. But can you explain what happened with the first girl?
Okay, so in last quarter, I was taking a cultural diversity class, and our teacher wanted us to write a paper on things that gave us culture shock. And, you know, my paper was pretty cutthroat. I was just talking about how moving from Orlando, Florida to Omak, Washington, where, you know, it's 0.06% Black people out here was a culture shock for me, because it's like there's no one
Negroes.
I'm probably I'm probably at 0.06, you know, and my kids too. So anyway, you know, I was first present in class, and I'm talking about that, and you know, and I go to sit down, and this other girl gets up and she starts talking about how it was a cultural shock for her to learn that it was inappropriate for her to not say nigga. And that, you know, other people say the word nigga. She's like, Native people, Asian people, you know, Black people say it. And she's like, I don't get it because I'm a white woman. I'm a person of color. A white is a color. And I was like, what? You know, just so dumbfounded, like literally sitting there shocked. And I was like, whoa. Like, and at that same time, my teacher who's also a Caucasian lady, and she's dating a Black man, is like, whoa, like this is inappropriate. Like this is totally like, you can't just, you know, first of all, you could have just been like, it's culture shock, I can't say the N-word, but she was saying nigga.
She was actually saying it at the class.
And she was like,
oh my God.
Me and my friends say it to each other, and I'm like, oh, so you and your other friends get around each other and drink beers. And
yo, I love when they say that. Well, me and my friends say it, it's cool, right? Oh my God. That's stupid funny that she was actually saying it in the class. That's wild.
And after, you know, and it was just crazy to experience and to just hear like how calm, cool, and collected she was. Like she had no like second thought. Like this is, and there's people like that. Like what I was talking about, just like casual racism where people are just like, oh, what? You know,
it's no big deal.
Don't even think before they speak. And it's just, you know, and then even her trying to apologize to me, because I ended up seeing her like a few days after. Because after I said what I said in class, like, you know, this is totally inappropriate, out of line. Like, I do not appreciate this. And I walked out. You know, I saw her a few days later at the grocery store, and she just had like this whole, like, you know, I have a Black friend who's around when we say it. And I'm just like, and it kind of resonated with me what you said earlier about, you know, when you have white friends, you know, and I feel for, you know, whoever, if the, you know, she didn't specify if the person was a male or female, but I feel for whoever that person was, because maybe they don't have, you know, this small ass town, maybe they don't have friends. And the only way that they have friends is, you know, chilling with white people who want to say the word nigga.
And it's tough because you almost want to be like, yo, you should have more self-respect. But like at the same time, it's tough, man. I can say like, you know, there were times where like I freaked out and I was like, yo, don't fucking call me that, da-da-da-da-da. But then immediately they tell you, oh, why'd you get all mad? And like, then you're the scary person and you're the one who's freaking out. And then it just makes it harder for you to actually have relationships with people. But then like, like what is it, you know, what's it worth? Like, is it worth being disrespected like that? And you know what's even crazy? Like when I hear somebody call me the N-word out of anger, I'm like, you know what, man? It's whatever because it's out of anger. But I think it's worse when people get around you, pretend to be friendly with you or pretend that they care, and they use it like you're talking about casually. And then if they say it, and even if you make a funny face or like maybe you make a comment, they go, oh, come on, man, chill out. You know I'm not like that. Come on, man. You know, I have this many Black friends, and like, you know, my sister, she dates a Black guy, man.
Black people in my
come on, man. Like, I've been letting Tyrone sell me weed since I was 13. What do you mean? I love Black people. Come on, bro. Like, that's what they do. Like, they try to like find every way possible to justify. And it's like, but fam, if you can say that stuff in front of your Black friends and laugh, and then try to make them feel bad when they become uncomfortable, it actually shows who you really are. That means you don't really, you don't value their feelings or care about them, because if you did, you wouldn't say that to people that you care about.
Right. You lack empathy, everything, you know?
Yeah. So that's why I just started getting out ahead of it. I call everybody nigga. I'm making everybody uncomfortable. Y'all are all niggas. How about that now? No, nobody can be mad around me because it's being evenly distributed amongst all of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck it. Like I said, I've just decided that I'm not going to allow myself to get super mad. I let people know from jump. You use your words around me at your own risk. I'm going to base it off of your intent. And if I feel like your intent is to harm me and you're within range for me to smack fire from you, that could end up being your fate. So do it at your own risk. Otherwise, I don't try to tell people that if they can and can't say words, but I definitely applaud you for making it clear that you were uncomfortable by that girl. And I hope she genuinely did feel bad when she approached you later after the fact, because that shit ain't cool at all.
After cultural diversity, I haven't seen her. She's not taking none of the class. She didn't come up to I don't know if she dropped the program, but I'm like, same thing goes for the other girl. Yeah. Like, you're going to school to become a counselor. At that, you're going to be working at people who have like substance abuse. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be just, using this kind of mannerism and terminology. Yeah. You got to cut all of that and start being aware.
But that right there, man, that kind of tells you like sometimes these are the people that end up in these jobs. And then we wonder, how do things slip through the cracks? Because these people get these jobs and they don't genuinely care about other humans.
Right.
Crazy. True. Hell, man.
I'm trying to think of more resources that we could talk about.
Yeah, I'm gonna be happy once like a lot of our community centers and places like that open back up, because those are always the best places to start, because a lot of their programs that they offer are for free. I wish the former organization that I work for, I wish our Seattle Wise did a little bit more for people of color, which is not the fault of the people of color within our organization. It's more the fault of the white folks who don't actually provide our people of color who are employees. They don't actually provide them with the resources to go out and be as successful as they could be. But they are doing things, and I guess it's a start because not everybody's doing stuff. But I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that they don't always actually put people who are passionate about these projects in the driver's seat. They have people who kind of like halfway care about them, but are also halfway doing something else. And then things just kind of don't get done. So, but Boys and Girls Clubs, YMCAs, places like that, local community centers, those are definitely the places that we need to start. But man, I'm really hoping that when we go back to like normal life, that maybe a lot of these things will lead to some of these mentorship programs and things that kids can do after school. Like, I hope a lot of that stuff is given more light. That way we can actually help reel some of these kids back in, because they're going to need it. And then obviously, because a lot of this stuff is to protect the future. Like, if we don't want to have so many of these shitty adults, we have to take care of them when they're kids. And the same thing goes when you think about like the race stuff. Like, I posted a video the other day where it's like a little white kid at a park, like calling this black dude the N-word, and like almost everybody commenting on it was like, yo, fuck that kid, I would have kicked his teeth out and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, but he's like 6. Like, he's still at that age, like, where you can save him. You're not gonna kick the baby. Yeah, we're not gonna kick the shit out of this kid. Like, maybe we want to kick the shit out of his parents, but like, he's still at that age where maybe like something can be done. Some of these kids just need to be shown the error of their ways. Like, I'll tell you, look, one of my closest friends is my man Keith. And Keith will always tell a story about this kid that we knew growing up, and him and this kid were much closer than I was with this kid, but this kid's name was Chris Allette. And he said when they were young and they used to they went to elementary, middle, and not high school, but elementary and middle school, because they grew up in the same neighborhood. And Keith said one time when they were super young, he said the N-word in front of Chris. And Chris punched his shit out. And then what Chris did was he helped him up. He explained to him why he should never say that shit. And then Keith didn't do that shit again. And and always and forever. And Keith is in his 30s now, and he will literally still tell that story, which is the whole reason why he's not one of these white guys that walks around referring to people as the N-word. I mean, at least not to my knowledge. I have a lot of faith in my man. I know that he's not that type of person, and I know some people kind of are that way. But a lot of that came from that experience. Like, so, like, assuming that this young little 7-year-old kid was like, oh, all hope is lost and da 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 da. And I'm like, and that was coming from some of our black people. And my only thing that I would say to that is, like, if we're applying the same logic, if we don't want people giving up on our people, so when like your cousin is 22 years old and still going to jail and still getting into trouble and maybe getting into some shit that's not his fault, we can't scream like, come on, we got to help him, if at the same time we're saying all hope is lost for a 7-year-old. So I think we need to like have that same type of compassion. We can still be mad as fuck. Like, yeah, I didn't like the fact that he had a big ass smile on his face and that he thought it was cute to say the N-word, because that shit is, that behavior is taught. It's learned behavior. He learns that from his parents or older siblings or the people that he's around who say it, and they use it in a manner in which he knows that if I say this to people, it hurts their feelings. And you can see other kids his age in the video being fully aware of the fact that what he was saying was wrong and that it was meant to hurt people's feelings. You see two other kids, both different races, all understanding of that fact, but yet the white kid doesn't. And that's where you know that it is a learned behavior, that hatred shit is absolutely taught, but that also means that you can unteach that shit. If we get him around the right people, you can unteach it. And I know you're probably thinking, well, he still has to live with his parents. I'm like, yeah, you think I don't fucking know that? Working with kids all day, you spend a few hours trying to teach them shit only to watch them go home and have everything that you work for be unraveled. And you know what you do? You fucking buckle up your boots and you go back and you do that shit the next day, because that's your fucking job. So we can't say that we've lost hope for this kid, because if you lose hope for this kid and then you allow him to do these things, then he teaches 5, 10, 25 other white kids to do it. And then those 25 teach 25 apiece, and more and more and more and more. But if you take the time, we try to fix this shit, then maybe he teaches 25 kids to not do it and help create more allies rather than more enemies. Like, so I think a lot of this shit ends up coming down to like, are we going to have compassion for people when they go through these things in the same way that we ask them to have compassion and grace for us and our people when we go through these things? Like, I don't know. So sometimes we're our own worst enemy. I know I am for sure, because I'm on here cussing these people out, talking about let's jump these niggas next time we see them. But then at the same time, I'll be like, yo, we should take a moment and like educate them. But I like the Chris Lett method. Punch them out, then help them up, and then educate them. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
No, you're definitely right. Yeah, we need to encourage all Americans to be able to stand up and speak out, you know. And when you were talking, it kind of reminded me of, you know, Martin Luther King. His quote is basically just saying the ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by the bad people, but it's the silence, you know, that's by the good people. And so, you know, even just the person recording the video of the little boy, you know, at what point do you put the camera down and offer correction? You know? So
that's true. That's very true. Yeah, man, it's crazy. We live, I almost want to say we live like in a crazy, interesting time, but it only probably feels like that because it's just so well documented. Whereas like the times before us were a million times more intense and crazy, because like you and I are not being hosed down. We're not being bitten by dogs, or, you know, I mean, yes, we still are getting brutalized by police to some degree, but, you know, not to the same effect that our grandparents were, and like, you know, their parents before them, like, you know, so we've obviously come a long way. And I remember like a conversation I had with my brother about a year ago. Him and I ended up kind of getting into it because I kind of had told him, and I was explaining to him that I was kind of like fed up with feeling like, you know, like we're always having to like explain this shit to them or make excuses for them as to why they treat us like this. And I was like, and I think he took it as me saying like I had given up, like I'm not gonna fight anymore, or, you know, we're just gonna like lay down and take it. And then we kind of were like arguing about that shit for a little bit. And I was like, now is the time more than ever to step up. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in a way that we're like, let's go out and like crush them and like, you know, we're going to riot and do all these things. Like, nah, I don't want none of that shit. But at the same time, like, I think it's important that we are spending this time to educate these people and using, I mean, shit, if we got to get on here every week and do this, like add little reminders, like, listen, white folks, tighten up. Black folks, tighten up. Like, I mean, shit, like I said, seeing that Romeo Must Die movie the other day, like, I know we all make jokes, and it started getting me thinking about, like, the jokes that I make. Like, do I need to adjust my humor a little bit? Like, not, I mean, I'm always going to be me and be true to myself, but, like, fuck, it's really made me think, like, do I say things like that to people? Like, you know, and then, like, literally over the last, like, day or so, I've just been monitoring everything that I'm saying, like, thinking, like, yo, do I do that? Like, I fucking hope not. Because even those small little jokes, man, like, I don't know, words are just words, but they do have a lot of power. And a lot of power can be kind of a bad thing depending on who has that shit. And I think a lot of times we see people that use a lot of words and little to no action. So I think the point of all of our conversation tonight, people, is that we want to try to put our best foot forward and put more action into what we're saying. So like we were talking about finding resources. If you guys have resources that you know of that you want to share, that we can share, we want to try to do this all throughout the state. And, you know, both you and I, we've lived in other places across the United States, and we have connects and ties to those areas. Like we could get our people from there doing the same thing. And hopefully, I mean, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're going to end up being an extension of what people have already been doing, hopefully since the dawn of time, in order to right all these wrongs. But we want to keep pressing the shit. And at least if we know that we're doing our part, it just ensures that at least a small piece of this fight never, ever dies.
Right. I was just going to add too, you know, like the true impact is going to come from, you know, from our minds, you know, and
Amen.
Organizations like that we were talking about here to provide guidance and support to individuals, you know, like we just got to be able to connect. And honestly, truly, I'm going to go ahead and say it, you know, it also comes from our bank account. You know, we're going to have to be able to, you know, have the resources to you know, put into these organizations too.
That's facts. So resources cost money.
You know, all the way around.
Hey, yeah, that's facts. Resources cost money. Yeah, and I think it's a worthy investment. I mean, you have young children. I mean, I don't have any yet, but I want to make sure that when I do have kids, that at least like whatever is left of this world, you know, at least is not going to be so bad for them that they feel like there was nothing and that's not worth being here. And so, you know, investing now helps to, you know, somewhat ensure that like our kids have a future. And even if they're not my kids personally, like, you know, I work with kids every single day. Like I want to make sure that your kids, you know, eat and have a long lasting life. Like, you know, Steph and Priscilla and James are people that are a part of this show, and like they all have kids. Like I want to make sure that their kids have, you know, a long lasting life. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit is important. Like my sister and my brother, you know, my brother has kids as well. Like we want everybody to thrive, and we want to make sure that our kids are left with something that they feel is worth holding on to. And unfortunately, I mean, I hate to say it. I know people always say when I say this, the shit's kind of negative, but listen, life is hell. This shit is trash. You're here to make the most of it. Do not let people fool you into thinking that this shit is cake every day, because people are hurting. They're struggling, whether that be mentally, physically, or emotionally, and this shit is hard. So when you see people who are going through it and you hear these stories where people are like getting to the point where they feel like they're wanting to take their own lives, like don't dismiss that and act like this shit is so easy. And don't dismiss the problems that, you know, people of color speak of. Like I know I'm on here every fucking week talking about, you know, all the disparities in our communities and the way we're treated by cops and all this type of stuff and authority. And like, you know, maybe it sounds like I'm always just complaining and saying life isn't fair, but like some of this stuff really does weigh on your mental. And like it hurts. It puts you in a state of stress, which puts you in a place where you don't act, you know, accordingly with your own family. It makes your own home life tough when you're sitting there worried about all these things that happen around you. So everybody is doing their best to survive. And the easiest way for us all to remain afloat is if we connect and stay together and you build rather than tear down the people that are around you. So it's important to be mindful of what people are going through and what their mental state is looking like and how you can offer your help. Not every offer has to just be, financially or you doing the work for somebody. Sometimes the thing that people need the most is a smile and a hug or a compliment or just some reassurance in life. That type of shit is free. It don't cost you nothing. You know what I'm saying? So you guys are listening to the show. We're going to be here all the time doing this, trying to educate people and educate ourselves as well. We have a lot to learn. We're not experts. I know I'm certainly not. The person that I've been having this conversation with all night is someone I actually reached out to help educate me more, especially about my own people, so I can actually put more action into helping build and rebuild my brothers and sisters. And that takes help. So listen. We would love to utilize everybody's services. If you're looking to be a part of something great, join me and Naomi. We're taking it to the top. Mainly her. I'm just security.
Hey, no, I'm trying to take everybody with me. So.
That's what I'm saying. We got to do it, man. I mean, I think it's definitely possible. There ain't no reason why we can't all just be happy here. Like, I don't know. That's just kind of the way I think.
Most definitely. I think, if we're able to, celebrate the gains of the past and continue to move forward with insight and energy that can further, progress. And it don't even just have to be, a Black thing where it's white and Black. Just, Americans, everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. If we can be able to do that and just, like you're saying, make the progress that's very much needed at this point in time.
Yeah. I agree. Man, oh man, you know what?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, and
Yeah, you need to be on the show more often. Well, like I said, people are texting me right now saying they think you're dope. You're very well spoken. Yeah, I think people are they're gonna like hearing your thoughts and your feedback on some of these things. So definitely keep me posted on how this paper goes and any conversations you have with your teacher and then this girl.
I'm gonna send you a copy of it and yeah, it worked out. Came in there, asked for advice, and jumped on the show.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. It was dope. You called it the perfect time. Like I said, I was literally going into, poor guy being trapped by the Homeowners Association president. You know what? I will say this before I let you go and before we close out the show. I do think it is so funny that when you see these videos that some of these white folks, they really try to throw around these titles like they have some fucking meaning. Buddy tried to hit them with I'm Dave Miller. I'm the Homeowners Association president. Like, nigga, who gives a fuck about that? That's not even a real job, bro. What are you talking about?
But it goes to show people really be taking pride in that.
Yo, they do.
Like somebody.
Yo, they do. That's what's so crazy about it. I've been telling people, like, why do you think they do this type of stuff? I'm like, because listen to what he said. He literally shouted out the fact that he was the Homeowners Association president. My man's life is bad. He don't have nothing. So this is what they do. Like, for them, this gave their life some excitement, especially in the quarantine time where they just been at home, not doing nothing. See, and I think sometimes what I've noticed about a lot of people is there are some of us walking this earth that they like to be involved in bullshit like that because it makes their life feel like it has meaning. And then there's other people who just like minding their own damn business. Because in the end, they had my man waiting for about an hour. You burned up an hour of your life, which is time that you will never get back, all for what? Because you stopped him and you just wanted to know what he was doing. Why do you care what he was doing if he wasn't bothering you? And that's the question that they can never ask. Or they can never answer. They never have an answer for why did it matter what he was doing? Why did it bother you so much specifically? And then I was telling the viewers before you came on, I was like, I thought it was funny that when the news channel did the story on this, they said they reached out for the guy for comment, and of course, nowhere to be found. So you had the smoke ready for my man while he was on his job, and then as soon as the news people call you, all of a sudden you want nothing to do with this situation. That's them wrapped in a nutshell right there. Right. It's coward shit. That's all it is. They're fucking cowards.
I don't know if you saw the one where it's a UPS worker and he has the little like dolly thing and he's delivering mail, and she's like basically saying that he's suspicious and that she's had her car recently broke into, and then you know, he's obviously black, and then his white coworker comes up and her energy kind of changes and it's like, well, I'm doing it for his safety. You got him out here, and I'm just like, she really thought she was, you know what I'm saying? Her whole energy, it's crazy to see what happens when, you know, another, you know, even like the news outlet or another person try to come and be like, so what's going on over here? And energy changes. And that's what we need to see more of, like what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Are correcting people.
Yo, I saw one where I think it was like the day after everybody did the like run for Ahmaud thing. I saw the video at least the day after. It probably was older than that, but there was a guy who was running, and I guess the white guy gave him a hard time. And it was this white guy walking his two dogs. And then the black guy started following him and was like yelling at him like, yo, tell me I can't run down the fucking street again. Like getting hype. And the guy didn't want to turn around. He didn't want to do nothing. He didn't want no problem. And it's like, but bro, 2 minutes before this, that's when you were saying something like
you wanted all the smoke.
That's what I'm saying. They always want the smoke in the beginning until you actually turn it up. And that's the crazy thing. I don't know why by now they don't understand that our people are willing to bring the smoke all to you and bring you extras if you need it. And then I don't think they understand that. And then when we start turning up, then all of a sudden, you know, they become like, well, I don't understand why they had to get so upset. I was just trying to, like, you know, bring up the point that, like, we're just not used to seeing things like this in our neighborhood. I just really don't understand why they had to get so mad. And then it becomes that, like, we're the problem. And it's like, no, fam, you don't get to do that. Y'all don't get to do that no more. Now we're in 2020. Then no offense to our people that came before us, but this ain't the 60s, fam. This ain't the 40s, this ain't the 30s. It's not none of that shit. We're in 2020 where some of these people out here are just going to smack fire from you and it's going to be over quick. And you see videos like that all the time, which those are hilarious. Which I feel bad. We probably shouldn't be laughing at that. But I mean, shit, if you're going to be in public calling people the N-word or telling them to go back to Africa, if somebody, you know, asks you what the 5 fingers say to the face, and then they smack you real quick, and then we all laugh at it, that's what it is. You know, it is what it is. You had that shit coming. I don't feel bad for you. I do not feel bad. Well,
like I said, it's not to be tolerated anymore.
Yeah, nah, we're not tolerated. Depending on who you are, I would say you're not tolerated. There are some people. And we feel bad for our brothers and sisters who are like this and maybe just a bit confused. But there are some of us out here who are still walking around allowing this shit to happen. But it's because they're conditioned to think that the only way that they'll be in the good graces of certain higher powers is if they allow white people to disrespect them. There are truly people in the South who I think believe that because they just allow all of that shit to go. They'll let white people literally call the N-word right to their face, and they're like, "Oh, it's okay. That's just Dale talking. He don't know no better. He been like that since '83." Nah, fuck Dale. I'll beat Dale's ass. He talking to me like that, boy. I'll tell you that much.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, well, you know what? I'm glad that you finally were on the show and that we got to talk some of our shit and get into these topics. How soon can you come back? I got to get you on with Priscilla and James. I feel like that would be lit.
Yeah, wait. James he's from Spokane, right?
Yeah, I think his dusty self is from Spokane.
Because I was gonna say, I think I remember listening to an episode where he was talking about Lewis and Clark, and I was like, yeah, I know officers. You know?
Oh yeah. We'll definitely have to get. I would see. That was one of the things I was hoping for, to get you and him in a conversation about some of these like conspiracies and stuff that he talks about. Because I know some of this stuff like you know about as well. And I think it would be interesting to get y'all.
An episode dedicated to conspiracy. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, we do conspiracies all the time. And even some of it's not even necessarily conspiracies. Like James is just crazy intelligent and he knows a lot of stuff. and that you are like the same. So I think that would be really good dialogue. So we got to make that happen.
Hell definitely. Yeah. I'm here for it.
This ended up being lit, man. You helped us cruise through the whole 2 hours, man. This show got 2 minutes left. I gotta close this thing down, man. It's time to go to sleep.
All right. I
appreciate you.
But I'm leaving in the morning that way, so we'll be in contact. I'll text you when I touch down and
Hey, yeah, we can record. We can do like a little in-person interview. We'll record it and then we'll post it. That would be lit.
Okay, sounds good. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for calling.
All right.
All right, later. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That's our entire show. We had Ombi call in to give us some facts, you know. Hey, shout out to the Black Queen. She's one of the elite ones, man. Made the show hot, man. I'm glad because, like, I know there was a whole bunch of stuff on here. Let's see how much time I got. Let's see. I'm gonna just get into these. Here's a couple of them. Robert Pattinson. He's supposed to be our next Batman. Apparently, this nigga don't want to work out for the role. I guess they're going in a different direction. So they're gonna make Batman look like a sucker. I'm telling you why it's not gonna be believable, because in order for you to be able to jump on and off of roofs and freaking skydive and do all this crazy shit that Batman do, you got to be in good shape. Robert, if you ruin this, I'm telling you, bro, I ain't even gonna threaten you. I hope if you ruin this Batman character, I hope you never act again. That's all I gotta say. All right, Lil Boosie offered a reality dating show similar to Flavor of Love with Flavor Flav. I'm not surprised that it's similar. They literally look like the same person. Sometimes I can't tell which one is which. The difference is one wears a clock, the other one doesn't, but they're basically the same person. I don't know. Boosie's lit. I feel like the show will be lit, but if that thing end up being on VH1, it'll be canceled within the first episode because it's gonna be too lit. I mean, Buddy literally goes on Instagram and tells girls he'll give them $1,000 if they show their pussy online. And I know I said that, and that seems inappropriate, but I'm literally quoting what he says to people on the internet. And they do it, and he literally sends them the money. That will probably be a better show than whatever show they've cooked up for him. If it is to find him love, This is not a good idea for a show. Please don't do this show. That's all I gotta say about this. All right, man. I will be back on Sunday. The show is lit. Thank you for Jared for checking in the chat. Jared's mom's gonna hook me up with some lumpia the next time she makes it. Fingers crossed that is sooner than later because your man is starving. Also, shout out to Angel, my other connect, who's gonna run me the lumpia. Hopefully, let me check the messages. Oh, I got options. Beef or chicken. Texting right now, working it out. Shout out to Markel being a fan of the show and also doing the photography. So if you've seen some of my shots on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all those wonderful photos that I have you actually see my whole gigantic fat body. Those are done by Markel. So she is taking on new clients now, not many because I heard it's getting full. So book your shoot now. We're about to phase out of quarantine, and then you guys are going to get your Brazilians and get new haircuts and get all these things. You might as well get fresh pictures. Since you missed the Easter pictures, you might as well get these back to school ones a little bit earlier than what you need, and you need to reach out to Markel. She'll give you a good deal. So shout out to all the new fans and followers. I appreciate you. Be sure to like and subscribe. Check out all of our past videos. And I will see you guys on Sunday, man. The stream is over and over and over.